Hey there, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Friday night's edition of Civil 3D TV Live. We are going to be reviewing grading settings tonight. I know that's exciting stuff. I know just before the weekend, that's the first thing you think of when you're looking to get into the weekend. But tonight we're just going to spend roughly about an hour in order to kind of refresh our skills and at least kind of refresh my memory on certain aspects of Civil 3D. So if you would like to learn more about Civil 3D, I highly encourage you to go to civil3d.tv, where this is a resource for folks if they're looking to learn more and more about Civil 3D. Free tutorials everywhere on the site. You can sign up for email updates as well as a lot of other information here. We've got free sessions where I've got some old coursework for Civil 3D 2020 to 2022, where you can go through and essentially it's basically like a 10-hour course, a free course that you can go through and learn about Civil 3D. The only drawback is ads, just a lot of ads going on here. But if you're looking for a free course just to learn online, feel free to go to civil3d.tv. I highly encourage that. So with that out of the way, we'll go ahead and dive into some Civil 3D. Like I said, we're going to be getting into reviewing grading settings. Right now I'm in the grading-1 drawing, which is located in the installation files that are on your installation of Civil 3D. There's actually a help file where you can grab a bunch of exercise files that come pre-installed with your installed copy of Civil 3D. And that's where I'm pulling these from. With a lot of the coursework that I provide to members only, they're getting actual exercise files that are actually broken down a little bit further as far as what we go through on every single piece of coursework. Line by line, essentially. So, Inspirational Nomad, Civil 3D for the wind. For the wind? For the wind? What am I talking about? The wind? No, not the wind. Wind, but for the win. Yes, sir. Thank you for showing up there, Sam. I appreciate you cheering me on, man, in the chat. And if anybody else has any comments within the chat, if you have any questions about Civil 3D as I go through this stuff, feel free to ask them. I'll do my best to answer them to the best of my ability. But I'm sure there's a lot of other folks out there that are very, very keen on Civil 3D that probably watch the live stream. Go ahead and chime in. Give us some of your knowledge. So I'll just leave that out there, and then we will get started. Let's rock and roll. I'll bring up some of my notes here. And I'll be pausing periodically to take a look at the chat. Oh, wait a minute. No, there is a way to look at the chat at the same time while I go through this stuff. That's what I want. Like I said, folks, we're roughly going to spend about an hour on this stuff. Roughly about an hour. So, in this exercise, we're going to learn how to use grading settings. We're going to review grading settings. We've got grading-1 open right now. And in the tool space, in the settings tab, which is right here, we've got our tool space, settings tab, and then we're going to be editing feature settings. Feature settings. And that's located within the grading. Oh, wait a minute. Did I get that wrong already? Did I get that wrong already? Come on. Right-click on grading. Edit feature settings. That's where it's at. That's where it's at. Okay. In the edit feature settings dialog box, expand the general collection, which is this. we've got this save command changes to settings. It's currently saved to yes. Then we have we're going to leave that on yes. This setting saves command settings for reuse. For example, if you create a grading and set the grade to 5%, then 5% is the default value the next time you create a grading. So that's very helpful. Sammy, $2 donation. Thank you, sir. You're doing a great job. Thank you, Sam. I appreciate your generosity. I appreciate your grace. I appreciate you cheering me on. Everybody needs a cheerleader within their life. Everybody needs a cheerleader within their life. And I just appreciate those cheerleaders, those mentors, those people that try to push you in the direction that, you know what, a lot of times, we go in a direction that we might not necessarily want to go in at the time. Like, if you want to lose weight, if you want to work out, sometimes you need a cheerleader to get you going on a particular day. So Sam's just one of those guys. I appreciate you, Sam. Thank you, sir. I appreciate you. God bless you. Okay. Now, as we get into this, we're going to expand. What else? Let's open this up a little bit further. There's a lot of settings in here, folks. A lot of settings. It can be very, very overwhelming. I mean, look at all this stuff. Who wants to go through all this, right? What am I looking for? Grade slope. Right here. We're going to expand the collections for grade and slope, which is right here. Now it says here, notice the options for unit format and precision. The integer value for precision specifies the number of digits to the right of the decimal places. Okay, so in other words, we're going to be going with a precision of 3 decimal places. So, 10.000. You can change that to 0.00 by just making that a 2, more or less. But I'm going to keep this at 3. Then that's essentially it. We're going to get out of this overwhelming box, this Edit Feature Settings dialog box. We'll click OK. Then we're going to continue on to creating grading criteria. Creating grading criteria. YouTube, index me on creating grading criteria. There's a nice little note within my video. My video is about an hour long. This is the next portion. YouTube, dial me in. Okay, in this exercise, you'll create a grading criteria set for a ditch grading. Then create 3 criteria in the set. Each grading criteria provides a standard formula for creating a graded slope. Individual criteria values can be locked so they cannot be changed for individual gradings. And you'll get to see that in a little bit. And we're going to create a criteria set. Now we're still in grading-1. In the tool space, go to the settings tab once again, expand the grading collection. And then you'll see right here we have the grading criteria sets. Let's expand this. Now this is where you'll create a new grading criteria set, then create 2 new criteria within a new set. So what we'll do, we can right-click on this and create a brand new one. We get our grading criteria set properties dialog box. Then we can name it. We can name this ditch criteria set in the name field. You can enter in a description if you so choose, but I'm just going to go ahead and click OK. And you see that it shows up within our grading criteria sets. Now we're going to create a grading criteria. We'll right-click on the grading criteria set. Then we're going to select New. These are going to be for ditches. Okay, we've got our information tab. In the name field, we're going to type in distance at -6%. So it's going to grade at a distance at -6%, okay? You'll see what that means very shortly if you don't know what that means. We'll go to the criteria tab, and this is where the magic happens. The target is going to be distance. The distance is going to be 10 feet. The projection is going to be slope. Format is going to be grade. And grade is going to be -6%. Now for the grade parameter, is it perimeter or parameter? I think it's parameter. We're going to lock this. When you lock a grade value in grading criteria, you are not prompted to specify its value each time you use the criteria. Okay, so it becomes more or less like an automatic thing. So we're going to be clicking OK, and then we're going to create a second grading criteria. We're going to do this again. We're going to go into grading criteria sets. Once again, we're going to click on New. This time we're going to call out surface at 4:1 slope. Click OK. Then we go through the same process that we went through before. We select the surface, this new criteria set, right click, select New. Wait a minute, did I do that right? Let me go back in here. Properties. Yep, I did that right. Okay. Actually, I think I did do that wrong. I did that wrong. I did it wrong. I did it wrong. Hear that, everybody? I did it wrong. I'm going to delete this set. I'm going to put this in the ditch criteria set. This is going to be a brand new one. New. Don't you hate to admit when you're wrong? Yeah, nobody likes to admit that they're wrong. I think in engineering, I think that we kind of get into those areas quite often to where, you know, we kind of hate to admit that we're wrong on something. But you know what? I was wrong on this. Second grading criteria. We're going to type in surface at 4:1 slope. Because we're keeping this stuff in the ditch criteria set. Okay, this one, the target's going to be surface, projection, cut and fill slope. You see all these options that come up when you choose different targets and whatnot? you'll see that when we actually get into using these grading criteria, you'll see how the command line will begin to prompt us with different things. This is essentially, this criteria we're giving the command line or the command prompts just, okay, this is what I'm going to be prompted with. This is what's going to be held, and this is what I'm going to be prompted with as I go through my grading. Okay, surface, cut, fill, slope, cut first. Set the following values for both the cut slope projection and fill slope projection property groups. Format, it's going to be slope. It's going to be 4 colon on 1, enter. 4 on 1, enter. This criteria creates a grade to existing surface at a 4 on 1 slope. Make sense? In the chat, Inspirational Nomad says it's okay, revisions are a part of every project. They are. They're totally a part of every project. Sometimes it becomes so overwhelming with the amount of revisions. So many revisions, it can hard to keep track, you know. Usually whenever you get like a markup from somebody, if somebody makes a little change, one little tick on a markup, sometimes that means that it's a drastic change that drastically affects multiple sheets, multiple parts of the project, you name it. So it's just like, man, revisions, they're definitely a part of life. Definitely a part of projects, for sure. Okay. We'll click OK. Now we're going to create a third grading criteria set. Remember, we're going to go under the ditch criteria set. We're not going to create a brand new grading criteria set. We're keeping it right in here. Sam says, just like life, many revisions. For sure, man. For sure. For sure. We're going to go in here. Relative elevation at 3 on 1 slope. And we're going to set the following values for the criteria. We'll go into the criteria. Target is going to be a relative elevation. So that elevation could move right along with the surface. Relative elevation, -3 feet. Projection, it's going to be slope. Format, it's going to be slope. And the slope is going to be 3 on 1. This criteria creates a grade to a relative elevation of -3 feet at a 3 to 1 slope. Then we'll click OK. So now we have our grading criteria set for our ditch, and it's nicely organized within the grading criteria sets, as opposed to what I was originally doing, which was creating individual grading criteria sets. I'm keeping all of this very nicely organized, like I've been told to, in this area right here. Okay. All right. Next, we'll get into creating grading styles. As we get into creating grading styles, I'm going to pause for a moment and go back to, sometimes within engineering we might think that we're wrong in certain areas, but I've noticed that as a designer, if you ask one engineer how to do something, another engineer will have a completely different answer for roughly the same thing. So as a designer, don't get confused by thinking that everything has to be in a particular way. Like, for example, one engineer likes to grade parking lots at maybe like a 1% slope. They use 1% as the minimum slope to grade out a parking lot. Well, while another engineer will say, no, 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 don't do that. Grade at a minimum of 0.5% slope throughout the parking lot. So one engineer might be super conservative with their number, while another engineer will have some ideas to, oh, no, you don't really have to do it that way. So as a designer, you may think that, oh, you know, I don't know how to do this. Well, you do know how to do certain things, because there are certain minimums that you can either be a little bit more conservative or less conservative with how you go about maybe arranging the way that maybe you grade a parking lot in that example. So when it comes to being wrong in engineering, sometimes it can be a little subjective. One engineer might argue with another engineer as to, you know, why you do things in a particular way. So that's just one of the things that I struggled with as I was moving through my career, that, oh man, this engineer says that I'm wrong by doing it this way, while another engineer will say, nah, you're fine. You're fine. Keep doing it the way that you're doing it. So I hope this is a bit of a encouragement to you. Okay, next, we're going to be getting into creating grading styles. We're still in grading -1, and then this exercise will continue from creating grading criteria. We'll create a new grading style, and we're going to be going into the tool space once again. Tool space once again. We'll go into the Settings tab. We'll go into actually, we'll minimize this. We'll expand the grading styles. We're going to create a brand new one by right-clicking on Grading Styles, then select New. We're going to type in ditch for the name, and you can put in a description if you want to. We're going to hold off on that. Click the Display tab. And we're going to change the color of the daylight line. Where's the daylight line? Right here. We're going to change the color. We're going to change this to a red. Then click OK. Then we'll click OK. Actually, I missed something. Let's go back into ditch. Right click, select edit. Slope patterns, we need to change that. Slope patterns. Oops, not this one, this one. We're going to click this checkbox, and we're going to leave it on basic. There's different slope pattern styles that we've got going on here. Actually, we're going to copy the current selection. We'll go into this drop down, copy basic, then we're going to call this ditch slope. Then we'll go into the layout tab, and it really gets into some of the cool parts right here with the different components. You can see a little preview right here of what that's going to look like. In the component field, select component 2. This parameter table displays values for component 2. This is the second slope pattern component from the left side. In this case, it's a long line with a tapered, yeah, you can basically see the long line. We've got a tapered line over here. In the slope lines section, we want to focus in on that. Symbol type. Symbol type, here it is. Tapered lines, we're going to select none. See what happened right there? Let's change this again. What was it on? Tapered lines? Let's switch that back to none. Okay. We'll click OK. Okay, so now, rather than the slope pattern being on basic now, it's got that modified slope pattern now that we just put in, which is going to be on ditch slope. And that's going to be associated with our grading style, for our ditch grading style. And click OK. Okay, in the tool space on the settings tab, the ditch grading style is added to the grading styles collection. The ditch slope pattern is added to the general multipurpose styles and slope pattern styles collection, which you can see right here. So we just went over grading criteria sets and grading styles. And this is going to be for a ditch, So this changes basically the technical information used in order to create the ditch for the criteria set. This grading style is going to be affecting essentially the look of the ditch. Okay, let's create gradings. Okay, before we get into that, I'm going to take a little break here. We're at about halftime. We're about 30 minutes in. I'm going to take just a short couple-minute break, and I will return very shortly. All right, we are back. That wasn't even a minute, was it? Was that like 30 seconds or so? Yeah, that wasn't long. I had to wet my whistle. Aquafina? Get a little bit of dry mouth as you're talking on this thing. Plus, I just had dinner tonight. Man, I had some fast food. Usually, I eat healthy throughout the week, and then the weekends I save for eating junk food, like fast food or whatever. Today I had Charlie's subs, Charlie's cheesesteaks or whatever. I had a nice buffalo chicken cheesesteak. It had all kinds of cheese. It had everything on it. And right now, it was so salty that right now I'm really, really thirsty right now. But I'm sure a lot of you care. Just thought I'd keep you updated on my dietary habits. So we will move on to the next grading. The next grading tutorial. Okay, where am I at here? Where am I? Okay, here we go. All right. We just went through setting up grading standards, reviewing grading settings, creating grading criteria, and creating grading styles. Now we're going to be getting into creating some gradings. And this will probably last, we'll go through, it looks like about 3 different exercises. Hopefully that'll get us to about an hour or so. Again, if you have any questions, I'll do my best to answer them. I could be wrong with my answers, so feel free to investigate anything I say. I am not a politician, so feel free to look me up. Find out if I know what I'm talking about. So, okay. I'm going to go through a little read here before I get into the exercise of creating feature lines. Okay, here we go. This tutorial demonstrates how to create a feature line and how to grade from a feature line. You can create gradings from parcel lot lines. Remember, from parcels, from the last few live streams, we were dealing with parcel lot lines. Well, you can use parcel lot lines to grade from, or you can use feature lines. And we're going to be diving into feature lines here shortly. Feature line is a linear object that grading commands can recognize and use as a baseline. Grading commands can recognize and use as a baseline. When designing a grading, you must often adjust the elevations along the feature line. So within AutoCAD, you have something called like a 3D polyline, right? You have a 3D polyline. However, with you can only, I believe you can only specify, if you're going from one point to another on a 3D polyline, I'm not sure if you can insert points along the way. Well, maybe you can. Maybe you can insert vertexes. I don't know. There's probably somebody out there that knows a little bit about this stuff. But with feature lines, you can essentially grade at different points along just one stretch of feature line. Okay. In the next 2 exercises, we're going to be creating three feature lines, assign elevation values along the feature lines using several methods. Create a set of gradings from one of the feature lines. All right, let's get started. Creating feature lines. Creating feature lines. What I'm going to do is we can continue with what we've been doing for grading 1, but I'm actually going to go into, I'm going to continue with what I've been doing in grading 1 with the modifications. I'm going to go to the Home tab and then to the Draw panel, which is right here. We're going to create a line. Click that drop down. we're going to create a line from the center of A to the center of B, and then to the center of C. Then press enter. Now, is this a special kind of line? Let's check it out. If we select it, no, it's just a regular line. Regular line here as well. Okay? No elevation has been assigned to it. You see we have 0 Z elevation on both ends of this line. Okay, then we're going to go into the Home tab once again, then over to the Create Design panel, then to the Feature Line drop-down. We're going to create feature lines from objects. Our command line is asking us to select lines, arcs, polylines, or 3D polylines to convert to a featured line, or you can use an XREF. That's nice. I don't really do that a whole heck of a lot, but sometimes it can be very, very helpful. Okay, we're going to select both of these lines and then enter in the selection. We get our Create Feature Lines dialog box. Now notice you can assign a name to feature lines, which is right here. You can do that right here if you so choose, as they're created. Naming significant feature lines can make it easier to assign targets when creating a corridor. So for example, sometimes when you're creating a corridor, you can have a long list of different feature lines. Well, if you name your feature lines, then you can kind of pinpoint what you're looking to connect to. Okay, that's where naming your feature lines can be very, very helpful, very important. For this exercise, you will assign names after the feature lines have been created, so we'll uncheck this box. We'll just leave it at its defaults. Following this workflow enables you to create many feature lines at the same time, but name only the most significant feature lines. Okay? In the Create Feature Lines dialog box, go ahead and click OK. Well, before we do that, let's review some things here. The lines are going to be converted to feature lines and added to Site 1. Remember sites within parcels like we went through before? We've got parcels. We can set it to none, but we're going to leave it on Site 1. We want it to be within Site 1. Okay. When we add this feature line, it's going to be put on this layer. You can change the layer right here if you see fit. I'm going to cancel out of this, cancel out of that. Or you can use the current layer. A lot of different options here. Or we can use the original entity layer for, a polyline or the line. But we are going to erase the existing entities. We'll leave that checked. We're not going to be assigning elevations right now or weeding points. Just select OK. And when we select this, we now have two feature lines, one here and one here. So we've got multiple feature lines. Okay, next, we'll select both of these feature lines, then right-click, and we'll apply feature line names. Okay. We're going to call these feature lines ABC. Then we have a next counter. We're going to click OK. Now if we, in the tool space, the prospector tab, go into sites, Site 1, we look here, we've got a section on feature lines. There we go. We've got ABC1 and ABC2. If we want to, we can right-click on this, and it has its own, oh, we can even select it. What if we're way, let me zoom out, we're way over here for whatever reason, okay? We're way over here, and we want to see the ABC2 feature line. Right-click, and hit select. Oh, there it is. I see it now. So that can be helpful when you have so many feature lines and you name them properly. That with a descriptive name, man, that could be really helpful. You know, because there are times where you could have like 3 different parking lots on this site, right? And you're using feature lines to generate your parking lot. Well, which feature line is for which set of feature lines are within parking lot 1, right? You know, which feature lines are within parking lot 2, and so on and so forth. That's when applying a descriptive name to multiple feature lines like we just did kind of goes into effect, because you're not having to search all over the site in order to find a particular feature line. You can just look within the name. You know, one set of feature lines could be the edge of pavement feature lines for parking lot number 1, or parking lot A, or parking lot or northwest parking lot. You know, that's where naming your feature lines, you know, applying it to multiple feature lines can be very, very helpful. Just a little helpful hint. Take it or leave it. Okay. We're going to draw another feature line. We're going to go into the Home tab. I'm going to deselect this. Home tab. Create design panel. Feature line drop down. Create feature line. We get our dialog box. For the name checkbox, we're going to type in CDEF. Now, this is essentially what I'm talking about as far as naming the feature lines in a bulk fashion. Like what if I created a bunch of feature lines for parking lot number 1. That's in the northwest corner of our property. I could name it parking lot 1, and then this next counter will name it feature line, you know, parking lot 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 3, 1, 4, you know, so on and so forth. You can change the next counter if you don't want it to be a number. You can highlight this, click this button, and for the name template, the property fields, you can change this to like a style name. You can do it that way, or you can type in, you know, parking lot. You know, there's a lot of different ways to go about it. Or the next counter, you have all of these different options. We'll leave it on 1, 2, 3, just for simplicity. We'll cancel out of this. For the style checkbox, we're going to leave it on selected. Let's check and see. Yeah, we got a lot of different styles here. A lot of different feature line styles. We even have a ditch style. Actually, we're going to change this to ditch. I was mistaken on that. We're going to be putting this on a particular layer. Then click OK. Okay, we'll go C, D, E, F. Hopefully you can see this within the stream, but we'll go to the center of C. Oops. It's asking us to specify an elevation. See that? It won't let me go forward. I tried to select the center of D, but instead it's asking me for an elevation or a surface. I'm going to type in 688 for D. Oh, I'm sorry. No, that's going to be for C. 688 is for C. Now you have a known value for a starting elevation. In the following steps, you'll use the transition command to defer entering elevation values at intermediate points along the feature line. Okay? So we'll stretch the feature line to click inside of circle D. You see we have this little dash line that shows up. You can even see right here what the distance is from C to D. Is it 319.93? The grade right now is at 0. The slope is horizontal. And the elevation is at 688, which is what our C elevation was set to. So what do we have here? We're going to type in T for transition. Then we'll stretch to the center of E. Press enter now to accept transition once again. Then we'll move to the center of F. Now, after I click F, what elevation do you think that it's going to be set to? At the end of this transition, we're going to select surface. Then we're going to accept the elevation of 712 for F. Then we'll press enter one more time to exit out of the command. And you see how we have that ditch style that shows up. See this dashed green feature line style? That's the feature line style. If I go into the information and select, instead of ditch, go with crown, see how it changes the look? That's the feature line style. Where are we at? Ditch. There we go. Okay, now, when we look within the site one, remember site one, then feature lines, we can look and see that we have a feature line. This is one continuous feature line that shows up C, D, E, F for the ditch. Let's check out the elevations. We can look at the quick elevation edit. That's what I usually use. You can use, there's like an inquiry command. For C, what elevation are we at? 688? Okay. We're transitioning at D. It's at this elevation. It's basically let's look at the slope. Yeah, here we go. Since we chose transition throughout this entire feature line, you'll see that each elevation is different. However, the slope is taking the slope from C all the way to the existing surface elevation that we specified of 712.06 for F. So that's how it's coming up with that. When I asked about what do you think the grade's going to be for F, well, you can specify that with a surface elevation, and Civil 3D will create a transition going from C with a consistent grade slope to F to the existing surface elevation. So that's what's going on right there. Okay, so now we have 3 feature lines. 1, 2, and 3. And that's essentially the end of this particular exercise. We can get into a few more maybe in a later stream, but you know something, to be honest with you, I've never really created 3D polylines like from scratch. I've always just converted them to 3D polylines. Let's try that. Polylines, polylines. Where are polylines? 3D polylines. Can I type in 3D? Oops. 3D polyline? 3D poly. Let's try that. If I start from right here, I'm just looking to see how a 3D polyline is compared to a feature line. This is just for kicks, okay? The start point of the polyline is going to be here. I'm going to go from there to there to there to there and press enter. It's not really giving me too many options when it comes to geometry. I mean, I can specify a vertex elevation of, I don't know, 700. Is that for the entire thing? I can smooth it out. Fit smooth. What does that do? That smooths it out. Cubic. I mean, I know that architects, I think, tend to use a lot of 3D polylines, and that's one of the frustrations when we get, you know, drawings from architects sometimes, because they're using 3D polylines sometimes on certain things, and it's like, man, why did you do it that way? You made a mistake, right? But no, it's just a different way of doing things, you know. Like throughout a process, you know, you have a lot of different things that happen within a process, within a design process, and at every point, you know, one party can look at another party as saying, you made a mistake. You know, it could be, you know, but maybe within their process, no, it's not an issue. It's no problem. Only when it gets transitioned to, only when something gets transitioned to another phase within a project, then it's like, oh, wait a minute, no, that's wrong. That needs to be changed, you know. So I don't know, designers kind of know my pain on this. What else? What happens if I go into if I select my surface, right click, oh, wait a minute, am I too low here? Object viewer. Let's select that. If I open this up, oops, I can rotate this. Uh-oh, where'd my stuff go? Got a 3D wireframe, conceptual. This is kind of nice, how it kind of renders everything out. Hidden, realistic. That's kind of cool. Does it show any of my feature lines anywhere? I don't think so. What if I rotate? Oops. No, I don't want to do that. Here's my, looks like that's my feature line. Right here. Oh, that's my 3D polyline. I've never looked at some of this stuff before, folks. I'm just shooting off the cuff right now. Here's our feature line. here and here. Here's ABC1, ABC2, and then here's the actual feature line that we created for C, D, E, and F. Yeah, just screwing around here at the end of this this live stream. We're roughly at about an hour right now. Yeah, just messing around. Now you can really see what's going on with our feature lines and with all this information. Anyways, we'll leave that as is. As we're winding down, folks, again, I want to thank you for catching me on this live stream on gratings. We're probably going to dive in. We might dive into gratings a little bit more in the next live stream, but we might be transitioning into, we'll stick with gratings. We'll move into editing gratings and building a complex building footprint. But as always, if you guys don't already know about this, free tutorials over at civil3d.tv. Over here you can get free sessions just like this live stream. You can get a whole course for free on this website. If you go into free sessions, then Civil 3D 2020 to 2022, this will take you into everything. It's about 10 hours worth of information free on this website, civil3d.tv. You select first one, navigating the interface. This will bring you into navigating the interface. It's got like a little read. This is basically the subtitles. But you come into here and then the thing, it's about a half hour long for this particular session. But the thing that you're going to be dealing with on these free sessions is ads. There's going to be ads like every 5 minutes or so. So if you're willing to deal with that, you can get all that stuff for free. Or you can become a member and get all of my course content right here by signing up for a free 3-day trial for Civil 3D Essentials. You go to watch.civil3d.tv. You can sign up for a free 3-day trial, and that goes into, we've got about 11 videos on profiles, designing simple profiles, creating and displaying surface profiles, and there's also the exercise files that you can download right here. Currently, I'm working on parcels. If you go into parcels, you'll see that there's only 3 videos in there for right now. I've got a parcels course for Civil 3D 2020 to 2022. I give that away for free. However, right now I'm just working working my way through each category. And right now I'm on parcels. I'm going to be building this up to about 10 different videos. They're roughly at about anywhere from 3 to 5 minutes long. So it kind of breaks everything down within each category of Civil 3D. So if you have time, feel free to peruse that, or you can become a member on YouTube, and it's essentially the same thing as this. However, this gives you a 3-day trial to all my stuff, where YouTube doesn't allow you to do that. It doesn't give you the all access pass. You can see right here, interface 2020 to 2022, 8 videos, along with the exercise files. So just wanted to bring that to your attention. Until next time, folks, take care. Have a great weekend. I've enjoyed spending time with you guys on these hour-long live streams. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to drop a line in the comment. I'll do my best to answer it. Or hit me up next time in the chat, next time I go on a live stream. So Until next time, folks, take care, God bless, and peace.